in the seat and start to roll your head between your hands the first way, where the hands are like planks and there's hardly any bend in the wrists. And notice, as you turn your head like this, how does the pressure change from buttock to buttock? Does it change a lot? Does it change hardly at all? Or does it stay just in the middle, more or less? So this is the first way, where the hands are like planks and you're rolling the head between the hands like a ball. And the chin is moving relative to the chest. Great. Stop in the middle, lower your arms, pause a moment. And this is just a friendly reminder. In lessons like this, for some of you, having your arms up here can feel quite torturous. So my advice to you, I'm one of those people, by the way, yeah? So my advice to you is to lower your arms before you feel fatigued. Because as soon as you start to feel fatigued, all your sensitivity goes out the window, yeah? So lower your arms and then restart again when you're ready. Put your hands on your forehead again. You might make a different choice your choice. And now roll your head between your hands the second way, where the hands are in constant contact with the head and the wrists bend. And the chin is once again moving relative to the chest. And notice now what happens in the contact between your buttocks and the chair. Is it different to before? Is it the same? Are you trying to make it the same? That's a different question. You could try to make it the same, but what happens spontaneously if you don't try to do anything? And bring your head to the middle, lower your arms. So you can see a little bit how my mind works. I like to be quite systematic, which could be not as exciting because it's predictable. For some of you, you'll love predictable is good. And for others, predictable is a bit boring. So now let's go for the third option. Place your hands on your forehead. And now as you go to roll your head, don't turn your head relative to your chest and feel what happens to your contact with the seat. Yep. So you're rolling your head between your hands, and now you're rolling it in such a way that the chin stays more or less the same relative to the chest. So this is option number 3. And feel how this option affects the bearing of your weight over your bottom. Is this different to before? Great. Stop. Rest a little bit. And those of you who are of my age group, you could give yourself the Mr. Phelps message, which is, your mission, Mr. Phelps, should you decide to accept it, is to have your hands on your head. Oh, Kevin's laughing. Is to have your hands on your head, roll your head between your hands continuously without stopping, and come to standing. That's your mission, Mr. Phelps, or Ms. Phelps. It's a different era. Yeah? Absolutely. Choose the way of rolling your head from option 1, option 2, or option 3 that enables you to do that well, in a way that's satisfying for you. So that means you're going to have to experiment with all 3 options and find out which one serves you best, which one of those three options allows you to come all the way up to standing continuously without a holding of breath, without trying to break through the floor beneath you. And you see, some of you are so clever, I need to make a rule already. Yeah, a rule of the game. As you come up to standing, could you do at least 5 turnings of the head? Oh, cheat. I told you, some of you are really clever. You come up on turning the head to one side, you go down turning the head to the other. No, you can breathe. Please keep breathing. So at least 5 turning of the head to stand up, and at least 5 turnings of the head to sit down. And if you don't like uneven numbers, you can have 6. Eyes open or eyes closed? Which tactic are you using? Now, you know, it's always useful to draw on past experience to try to find a way through. So remember when you were sitting on the chair and your buttocks were there, which one of those ways of rolling your head, option 1, option 2, or option 3, produced the least amount of shift from buttock to buttock? Which one was it? So some of you will be 1, some of you may be 2. Use the option, maybe, that creates the minimum amount of shift. Huh? Now, is this the correct way of doing it? No. It's not the correct way, because correct is always dependent on what your intent is. Okay. Next time you find yourself standing, stay standing. Lower your hands. And this is something that we'll come back to at the end of the week, but I think it's good to introduce it now. So you're standing, you've got your hands down. And I think we did a little bit of the first week. Remember, you're standing? Could you gaze around yourself as if you're scanning a horizon? And as you scan around to the left and as you scan around to the right, how much do you displace over onto one foot? And how much do you displace over onto the other foot? And then pose yourself this question. Which one of, is this way of turning yourself to scan a horizon, is this the most mechanically efficient? And then how do you know? I mean, you can mathematically know, but can you feel in yourself? Now, usually, the more the body displaces in space, the more energy you're using. put your hands on your forehead. And instead of using the muscles of your neck to turn your head, could you use the muscles of your upper limb to turn your head and find a way of scanning the horizon that has the least amount of displacement in the torso over the legs. Yeah. So displacement means that when you turn your head to the left, you could shift your head all the way to the left, or you could shift your head, you could shift your whole body all the way to the right. Some people go to the right leg, some people go to the left leg, but they displace their weight side to side. One of my colleagues used this term a moment ago, so I'll share it with you. How do you stay in your central axis? In that axis that goes right from the top of your head through your trunk and projects right into the ground. Like a spinning top. You know when a top spins? How do you stay in your central axis to actually scan the world? And keep doing that and think, look for the kettle, look for the teacup, look for the doors where the loos are. What are the rules? Come to the, come. So, just stand facing the camera. That's it. Yeah. So you see, can you pretend to look to a horizon? Yeah, and scan around. So one way of doing it is to shift your weight to the right and shift your weight to the left. Yes, can you see that? So that's a lot, well, not a lot, but relatively speaking, that is now, come back to the middle. That is a lot different to just letting the head turn on the neck. Now remember that thing about exploratory and performatory that I talked about? How little of yourself do you need to move to scan the horizon? Now you see the head's turning. Now put your hands on your head. And now now follow me again. So see that? Can you turn your head in such a way that you stay more or less organized right in your central axis? And when you do that, that is the minimal expenditure of energy in this configuration of the body. Okay? Now, if we change that and we do, can you see that? That is a lot more movement, so you can bet your bottom dollar that there's more metabolic energy being used. And if you're short on food, it's not a good idea. Yeah, does that make sense? Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And one more thing, Naran, is that you can tell the difference between one and the other. You can tell the difference between shifting the weight, not shifting the weight, staying in your central axis, not staying in your central axis, using this option, using that option, that you can distinctly discern the difference between one and the other and feel the difference between the three. Can't cope one at a time. Yes, Helen. Box. You see Helen? Hold that, Helen. Hold it. Whoa. Okay.
So,
yep.
Only as much movement as you need to make to meet your intention.
Absolutely. Nice summary. Yeah. So remember when I called out, it's not a correct way of doing it, but the correct way is according to your intent. So if your intent is to use the least amount of energy, and I see you doing this, that's incorrect. Yeah? If your intention is to find out how your chin and your chest can move together, and I see you doing this is incorrect. So it depends what your question is, what your inquiry is, what your intent is. That's what makes something correct or incorrect. That's why, Helen, your summary was just spot on. Yeah, but not really.
What if you've got more tension in your neck muscles and actually that is more effort to move?
Then you need to coordinate yourself so that you can do this, which means you need really good hip joints.
Yeah, yeah. So that would end up being less
Yeah.
effort.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the best way I can see at the end of the room? And for me, it's shifting weight.
And on a different day, it might need to be different. So what is your repertoire? Do you have a behavioral repertoire that meets the situation at hand, or just do you do your habit, the one habit, over and over again, irrespective of context? That's what Moshe would call compulsive. Yep. Yeah, you call it a few other things too, which I shan't repeat. So please, is that a question?
Just building on what you've said. So, like, if you wanted to see right behind and have maximum range of movement, then to transfer the weight would be, I could rotate around further than doing the rolling the hands and
come here, Anna. Yeah, absolutely. So if your intent is to see all the way behind you, yeah, go on. See that picture right at the back? Okay. You know where that is now? Turn around. Good. Now turn yourself to look at the picture. And come back. So as you turn yourself to look at the picture, there are so many ways of turning. Yeah. Could you initiate with the head? Okay, stop. Could you feel yourself thinking that? Yeah, it's like, what? Did you see that? Yeah, so go ahead. That's beautiful. What you just did was great. Yeah, initiate with your head. Yeah. Beautiful. And come back. And now initiate with your pelvis. Ah, yes, this is more thinking involved there. Yeah? So can you feel the difference between the two in your own sensation in your body? How much thinking time you need for one and how little thinking time you need for the other? No. So let me mimic for you a little bit, replay for you what you did. So when I asked you to turn to see the picture behind you, to initiate by the head. Now, it could be the word initiate was confusing. I don't know. But it was like initiate turning your head and you went, yeah? And then I said to you, initiate from your pelvis, and you just did. So there's a time lag between one and the other. And of course, in the field of experimental psychology, that time lag is what they would equate to cognitive processing time. How much you have to think. Yeah, that's a different task. Yeah, but that's in psychology. That's what they measure. You know, how much processing time do you need? The newer the skill, the longer the processing time. The more habitual the skill, the word has hardly come out of the instructor's mouth. They're off. Do you do ATM like that? Yeah, that's nice. You see, now you're making an inquiry. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, you went right into inquiry mode. Beautiful. You can't do better than that, you know? You really can't. Yes. Box. Chuck. Chuck box.
You talked about three possibilities, and when we were experiencing, I found that the third possibility is moving everything in one block. It could be also a fourth possibility. Do the when you do by parts, you can begin with this and then or begin with the head and then this.
Yes.
Or
yeah.
maybe other fourth 5, 6 possibilities to do this, the same movement.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. So now you're talking about how it's sequenced in time. Yeah?
Yeah.
First, second, third, first, first, third, second. Yeah. Yeah.
Because in one piece, okay, it's in one. And then if we follow, okay, we begin with the head, and this is 2.
Any mathematicians in the room? Mathematicians? 479? No. So, you know, in mathematics, there's permutations and combinations. So if you have 3 parts, that means you've got 1 times 2 times 3. So that's 6 different ways of combining that, at least. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly what you're saying. And this is what you need to remember. There are ATMs that are built just around that. You've got 3 head, chest, pelvis. Let's not get excited, because that's 3, because then that'll be 1 times 2 times 3 times 4. That's 24. Man, that's a lot of variations. Yeah? Yeah. So here's your degrees of freedom problem. Yeah? So with all those degrees of freedom, like if you've got 100 degrees of freedom in your body, that's like, who's that guy who invented chess for the king? And he said, my reward will be, for each of the squares, you give me a grain of rice, then double that, then double that, then double that. And by the time you get to 64 squares, he has to give him more rice than is in the whole kingdom. Yeah, so this is how things expand exponentially. So really, if you spend a whole time investigating all the various sequencings that you can do in this, you won't make it. You won't explore it. It's just not possible. If you consider every joint, every movable part in the body, it's just not possible. Yep. So I know what is possible. Tea. Okay.